The topic of today's discussion is this book, Ambedkar, Gandhi and Patel, The Making of India's Electoral System. This was penned by an IAS officer called Rajshekhar Wunru. He was expected to be here, but unfortunately he got called. He's still a serving officer. So I'll start with a brief synopsis of the book, so as to introduce the book and the subject, and then we'll have the discussion on the topic. This book is a unique one in that it does a very deep analysis about the development of electoral reforms in India. The electoral system that we have in today is the result of a prolonged struggle which started during the early decades of the last century. And the role played by three important people, Ambedkar, Gandhi and Patel. Now, Ambedkar is known as the champion of the depressed classes whose unstinted efforts saw that they got their due, or at least a big portion of what he demanded he could achieve by his hard work. Now, he was a brilliant person, no doubt. He studied at Columbia, then at London School of Economics, was a bar at law. But when he came to Birkin Baroda, for the Maharaja, he was denied accommodation, or he could not even get accommodation because he belonged to the depressed classes or to the category of untouchables. Ambedkar decided to become the champion of the backward classes or the depressed classes, and he made that his life goal. So he represented before the Southborough Commission in 1919, saying that if you want untouchables to come out of their misery, they should be given two things. One is universal franchise, and the second is separate electorates. Remember, at this time, neither UK nor USA had the concept of universal adult franchise, and Ambedkar was far-sighted enough to seek this benefit from the British. Of course, it was denied. Ambedkar made the same representation before Simon Commission, 1928. It was denied, but he was called before the Round Table Conference in 1931, where he advocated the cause of the depressed classes so eloquently, forcefully, and effectively that he got what he wanted. He got a separate electorate for the depressed classes or the untouchables. But then it had led to a huge furore. Mahatma Gandhi decided to go on a fast in Erwada Central Jail in Pune against the communal award. Finally, Ambedkar, then just 45 years old, was faced with the dilemma: either he accedes to the demands of Gandhi and let go of what was awarded by his hard work, or he stand back and watch Gandhi die. Ambedkar had no option but to negotiate and come to a settlement called the Pune Pact, something he has regretted ever since. So the elections in 1937 and 1946 took place based on this joint electorate with a panel of SC or the depressed classes candidates, which was not satisfactory. So he wrote a book called What Gandhi and Congress Did to the Untouchables, which was published in 1946. And there was an all-round criticism of Gandhi. In fact, he refused to call him Mahatma. He used to call him only Mr. Gandhi. But then he was he lost the elections, but he had become a member of the Viceroy's Council. But he lost the elections in the 1946 elections, but he was made a part of the Constituent Assembly through Calcutta, and then he was asked to be the person behind the chairman of the drafting committee. There also he voiced the consideration that there should be separate electorates for the depressed classes or the scheduled castes, as they were called by that time. There was a lot of discussion back and forth on this, but finally it was decided that there would be no separate electorates and there will be no reservations. Ambedkar boycotted the proceedings of Constituent Assembly, saying that if there is no reservation, he will not be part of the Constituent Assembly. Better sense prevailed. He was called back, and what we have today as a separate electorates for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe was actually made part of the Constitution with a condition that it will be there for 10 years. So you can see that what has evolved from 1919 till 1950, when the Constitution came into being, had a huge contribution by one person. Midway through, he had to take up, or rather come face to face with Mahatma Gandhi, forced to make compromise. But when he came face to face with Sardar Patel in the Constituent Assembly, he stood firm, and he did not back off, and ensured that scheduled castes got their separate joint electorates and with reservation for them. Sir, I'll just come to you. Ambedkar's original demand was for separate electorate was based on the reasoning that if you want the particular depressed classes, the untouchables, to come out, they should elect their own representatives and not through a system where the caste Hindus or the others have a say in electing their representatives. When you see the present situation, about 76 years after the Republic came into being, 74 years after the first general election, how do you think Ambedkar's theory has impacted, and has the present system done justice to the needs, aspirations of the depressed classes or the scheduled castes as we call them today?
See, first of all, I would like to thank Mathrubhumi Litfest for calling me, and it's an amazing audience. I took 2 photographs because my wife won't believe that so many people listen to me. Now, I would begin by saying that this is a very interesting year to discuss Ambedkar, the chief troublemaker of India. Okay? He by far the first troublemaker of India. We are all so complacent that we are all in harmony and all that, and all of us are living in peace, until this fellow comes up and says that 20 to 25% of India is still untouchable. And wake up. So he is the one who first stirs this cause. And it's interesting this year, 26 is interesting, because if Ambedkar dropped the atom bomb in 46, Modi is going to drop the hydrogen bomb next year. Okay? After the caste census results come out, I can sit here and guarantee that the vast majority of India would be in the SC, ST, OBC and Muslim category. Then what? It will be the reverse. You know, Modi has cleverly let this bomb go under the tunnel by agreeing to caste census. Now we know for sure, I am a social anthropologist for no fault of mine, but I can tell you that the demographics of India point out to anything between 62 to 87% of the people being in the so-called reservable categories, reservation categories. That is going to be real fun. Now, what was Ambedkar fighting for and against? See, the Government of India Act was enacted in 1935. When the first elections were held, we celebrate the first elections in independent India, 1937. And we say Congress swept the polls, Muslim League got in 2 states, etc. Now let me tell you who voted. You and I didn't vote. I mean, maybe somebody rich is lurking here. To vote, you must pay ₹5 as land revenue. You must pay ₹10 as agricultural rent. Or you must be an income tax payee. Or ₹150 by way of municipal taxes. That means you have a house property. Or you have passed upper primary school. Okay, this upper primary school is something like that MA in entire political science, you know. So one doesn't know whom we are talking about, who passed what. So these are the criteria under which some 15-20% people elected are rulers. So apart from the scheduled caste thing, the Dalit thing, we owe it to Ambedkar to insist on universal franchise. We forget that. The Congress adopted universal franchise at a later stage. Universal franchise means for women also without a fight. For all people without a fight. So Ambedkar must be remembered not only as a troublemaking SC advocate, but also the one who fought for universal adult franchise. Our problem is our history is all one-sided. Okay? I come from a Congress family. I am Jawhar, my brother is Gandhi, the third brother is Subhash, the Sarojini. So I'm in my, so now, despite that, I'll still tell you that we need to reread our history. Who asked for total independence? Pune Swaraj Resolution, 1928-29, Lahore, Pandit Nehru. Nonsense. It started in 1921 in the Ahmedabad session of the Congress by the Communist Party people raving it. They were outvoted. 1922 Gaya session, they were outvoted. And it went on like this, and 28 Calcutta session was gheraued by the Communist Party. And in 29, the Purna Swaraj, total revolution. Until that, we were deciding, will we sit in the table with them? Which section of us will sit in suits and discuss? So all these limited ambitions were destroyed, and Congress came forward and said, we want Purna Swaraj, complete independence. Okay? So we have to understand where these inspirations came from. Now, after all, at that point of time, our estimate was between 15 to 20. We couldn't go through the caste censuses, would reveal certain castes, but we couldn't lump them. Now, as I told you, under this hopeless system that I mentioned, 4 or 5, the general people would not be able to vote, let alone SCs and STs. So the entire struggle of Ambedkar, single-handedly, incidentally, and that is where it comes to. Single-handedly, this man raised an issue again and again and again. He was a son of a Mahar, a very low caste, went and did splendidly in Colombia, in the UK, imagine, all on scholarships, and comes back to look at the Brahman and the upper caste in the eye. And that is where the trouble begins. Now, the period between 1919, Montague-Chelmsford reform, you remember history paper, 1919 and 1946 has been a period of ups and downs. It is like watching your aunt next to that heart meter. It's going up and down. In most of the delegations, in most of these disputes, the Congress put up a different stand. You see, I'm not an anti-Congress, I'm telling you history. But this chap, he decided to use every instrument. This book is a complex book. It's a very small book, and Raghavan has summarized it well. It's a very complex book because we need to go into the details, not into superficial things. How much the man had to fight from 1919 to 1946 and lose and leave after losing, even as the president of the Constituent Assembly Drafting Committee. It was only when they realized that the government of India realized we are on a bomb that they brought in the First Amendment to bring in, and the First Amendment is going on. So I have mentioned some of them. One incident will show you how he shaped history as a single individual. Well, many of you are there who fight singly. In 1930, when the British government called the first round table conference, I think incidentally the round table conference was on a square table. I've seen the photographs, but I don't know why they call it round table. So round table conference, Gandhi boycotted. You know, between 1917, when he starts the Champaran movement, till 1930-31, he was already emerged as the real mass leader within the Congress. He refused. Many others had doubts. Ambedkar jumped, took the opportunity and got resolutions passed. Gandhi read it in the papers that the British have agreed to consider separate electorates for Muslims, okay, for Sikhs, okay, for backward groups. What the hell is going on? What is a backward group? Then somebody asked him to look back, and he realized. So the next roundtable conference, Gandhi went there purposely to see that the depressed class group is dropped. His logic was simple. Now let's look at Gandhi as a mass leader. He did not want, he was battling extreme Muslims on one side. He was carrying, nationalist Muslims with him. He was carrying every group with him. And if you start divide according to caste, that is the way he looked at it. I will open the doors of the temple. He did it in Kerala. Came over and I'll open the doors of the temple. I'll take over untouchability. I'll do it. But why are you fighting and saying I want to get out of the house? So his attitude was completely different. But Gandhi lost out. You see, these history books teach us so blandly that first of all, history was always taught after 2 p.m., okay? Which means that you slept as the teacher rambled something. So that's the thing. In fact, with Dr. Venu is here, I'll suggest that 2 p.m. sessions here should be given with free coffee next year. So the history books are so flat that they don't make sense to you. Gandhi lost out on the great 1932 Round Table Conference. How? The depressed people were given a separate electorate by the British. So what does he come? He can't fight it out in London. The first thing he comes here, he says, if this thing is passed, I will fast unto death. And he makes a statement by the time he's put into Yarwada jail. Gandhi used to come in and out of jail all the time. So he was put into Yarwada jail and next to him was Patel. Patel also advised him, said, Bapu, you struggle, but why do you need to fast? Anyway, you're looking skin and bones. So you won't last that. I'm quoting from history. Nothing is made up. He said, you're so thin. But Gandhi said, I'll go into fast into death. And the dates were on March 32. So on March 32, he starts in August, the British formally announced the communal award. Muslims, Sikhs, and depressed class. So they are assured, each part of it is assured of a particular number of seats in the house. That's the only thing. Gandhi goes into this, and from 18th August, he goes on fast unto death. The entire nation was up in arms against Ambedkar. You are a spoiler. He came under severe criticism and such psychological criticism that every day the paper said that if Gandhi goes, we will never forgive you. So they put on the psychological pressure, and finally in 32 he had to sign, after just a few days he had to sign the Pune Pact.
Pune Pact.
The Pune Pact, where he says, okay, I will remain within the Jainal / Hindu fold, but let me see how much of your assurance you give me. So this is the story where we come up to climax of part 1. Then you can ask any question.
I'll just ask 2 questions here, sir. One, Gandhi's opposition to Ambedkar was on 2 these things. One is that we are a national party, we have coverage across the country, whereas you are limited to one state. You don't have any exposure to the other states. You have not been to South India. The representatives of the backward class from South India are with the Congress. They are not demanding this. 2 was that this will create, at the practical level, what he told Patel, that in every village, you will have issues where the backward classes will rise up in rebellion against the upper caste. And you will have massive, similar to the communal problems between the Hindus and the Muslims, you will have communal problems or caste problems, caste wars between the depressed classes and the caste Hindus, which would prove to be ruinous for the common goal of pushing the British away. These are the 2 points on which Gandhi held steadfast. And that is the reason why he said, no, I will not agree to it. One, he doesn't have the mandate of the entire untouchable community in the country. He cannot claim that. He has only been in one state. He has not been to South India. He doesn't know what happens in the other places. He was not part of any of the agitations that took place in Kerala or other parts of South India over the rights of the untouchables and the backward classes, whereas Congress has been there. And second is that if you do it, you are creating another new distinct caste. This is a caste or the untouchables, but then they will be separate from the Hindus, and it will create a very, very difficult situation with lot of possibilities for violence in each village. How much do you think Gandhi's this thing was warranted?
Gandhi was largely correct in one analysis, that Ambedkar was reasonably urban-centric, small mass base, and constitutional legal. Why was it so? You have to understand. The anti-caste movements had sprung up in every state of India. From the 1880s onward, Justice Party in Tamil Nadu, every part, somewhere or the other, where either it was for the lowest or even for the middle. Middle caste also had to, Erwas also had to fight their way up. It's not that easy that everybody is given on a plate. To understand what is discrimination, you have to see two figures. And you'll see why these fellows were. In 1916, Madras Presidency, thank God you are out of it. 1916 Madras Presidency, 88% of all government jobs went to 3% of the population, Brahmins. 88% to 3%. Hold on. I'll come to communist Bengal. Bengal in 1901, 6% of the population consisted of Brahmins and an allied caste, comprador group. Unfortunately, I belong to that. I can't help it. I didn't ask my father where I would be born. So these two accounted for 6%. They call Bhadraloks anyway. 6%. And they occupied 89% of all jobs. Can you imagine the amount of suffocating feeling that others had to go through? So Ambedkar, as a lawyer brought up in the Western tradition, said that Dravids can fight, the untouchables of Kerala can fight, in Andhra the fight is going on, Maharashtra I am leading the fight, West Bengal had the largest, strongest fight. In fact, the poor fellow got elected only from West Bengal. He didn't get elected from Maharashtra. He lost every time in Maharashtra, and Bengal said, "Theek hai." Like we gave it to Krishna Menon also. Any troublemaker from anywhere, you want a seat, come to Bengal. We'll give you. So, it's a tradition. So, Krishna Menon also went there. So, he realized that even if all the fights were victorious, they would still be at the receiving end because the treaty that is being written, the constitution, will have no place for us. We can shout, but then they'll show the book and say, where in the book? Where in the book? So he said, let me go into the book part of it. He lost out in the narrative. He did not dream of narrative. If today you talk of manufacturing of narrative, by somebody whose face is there everywhere splattered all over India except Kerala. In Bengal, the other woman has also taken over everywhere. So only the toilets are spared. Other than that, the faces are everywhere. It's so good to see those faces missing. But if you think of narrative creation, Gandhi was the master of narrative creation. Master of publicity. You see, if you wanted to make salt, you could go to Juhu Chowpatty, take it and do it. You take a saucepan in Juhu Chowpatty in Bombay and make the salt. He planned a long 32-day trip, and every day newer and newer reporters and cameras kept on coming. Every day newer and newer reporters came on coming. He wanted warm-up time for a very slow press. So by the time he took that pinch of salt in Dandi, it appeared as if he was triggering. He was picking up Donald Trump by the ear or something. So it sounded like that. It's a question of how you fix the narrative. So you are right. Gandhi accused him of not having a mass base. which is correct. But the masses were there, not in any unified form. So today you find the Dalit parties, even till today you find the Dalit parties being essentially regional parties. Dalits are represented especially in regional parties like this lady in UP, Bahujan there. The only time she gets up is to cut Congress votes. But otherwise she goes off to sleep the rest of the time.
I just supplement what you said about Gandhi being the master of the narrative. Commune law was announced on 16th of August. Gandhi declared he will go on a fast on 18th of August. And he said, I will start the fast on 20th of September. So he gave that one build up so that everyone will start talking about it and start build more pressure on Ambedkar. So
that's his style. His style was always, hey, please stop me. This you'll find in Calcutta all the time. I'll kill you, so I'll kill you. Why don't you stop me here? So that sort of thing. So we always have these fellows who come and say, I'll kill you, hoping that somebody comes and stops them. So he also took his own time.
But Ambedkar's political philosophy or electoral philosophy was that the representatives of the scheduled caste or the depressed class should be elected by themselves. And if you allow a joint electorate, you will have probably people of the depressed classes who represent the interests of the other caste winning the elections. This was his major worry against joint electorates. And on that, he had suggested something called qualified joint electorates.
Yes.
So it was a very unique suggestion. He said that if in a general election, let the joint electorate vote, but also let the scheduled caste have two votes. One as part of the general one, and they also vote on the for their separate selection process. And the person who gets the highest number of scheduled caste votes should be taken. So he said that the person who wins should definitely have the backing of the scheduled caste. That is something which was not allowed. So do you want to elaborate on that?
You see, when we discuss electoral systems, that's the name of the book. Now, let's get off from Ambedkar or Gandhi or all that. We are in a soup now. The usual picture is that the ruling party or front normally gets 35% of the vote. And 60 to 65% of the electorate all over India votes. So you understand? So basically we are talking of some 17-18% deciding the fate of 100. See, 65% is the electorate is 100, 65 is voting. Out of 65, 35 is the one that leads on to the government. So you can see by and large that it's not reflective of dream universal franchise. It doesn't work out. Why? One is the British system of first past the post. Whoever wins by even by one vote, he wins. Now, we have parties all over India who lose by 10 to 20 to 100 votes in all the seats or many other seats. So, won't they ever get a representation? So, one option could be going in for multi-candidate, multi-assembly seats. 4 seats put together. Whoever gets the first vote gets 1 or 2. Whoever gets a lesser vote gets 3 and 4, and goes on that way. So that will reflect the voice of the people more and more. That's one way. So Ambedkar went in for this very complicated system of bringing 4 candidates to represent the scheduled caste and asking them to compete. And whoever got 25% less than 25 was knocked off. And that sort of thing is constitutionally for a person of law very understandable. For a commoner, it's very difficult. For a commoner, but if you put a multi-seat constituency, that I'll have 4 seats, okay, in one constituency. 4 persons will be declared, it's a big constituency. So at least the second ones in India will get a greater representation. They don't have to smash the assembly on every second word.
That brings to another interesting suggestion that Ambedkar had made to make right to vote a fundamental right. This is something which he had argued for, saying that it should be made a fundamental right, but Patel opposed it, and there he had to beat a retreat on that. Would it have made any significant change? Right to vote being made a fundamental right. It has not been spoken of since, and we don't discuss that also. It was very, it's only from the book that I came to know about.
You see, it, even without making it a fundamental right, it remained a fundamental right until one gentleman called Sanghi Ganesh Kumar decided to become the Chief Election Commissioner. And after that, your right to vote itself is a question. It's like a lottery ticket. You may be allowed to vote, or you may be told to stand in a line. From the first election, when Sukumar Sen did this thing, he went on outreach. House to house, people were sent, asked for their names. Women wouldn't come out of Parda, they would not speak. At that time, we could capture the electorate. And now we are told that we require to cut down the population of the electorate. We are very, citizenship is in question. Mercifully, you don't have any foreign country next to you. I have one. So they are putting catapults to throw all of us into Bangladesh, if possible. So the question of whether we right to vote is fundamental or not is a matter of semantics. It's only a matter of semantics. So Patel was, I don't know, Patel represented a Western India school of thought that we find very difficult to accept. You know, why are you quarreling? Why can't you go and make some money? Why can't you go and send some fellows illegal into the US? Why do you have to send them legally to Oman? So their way of thinking and our way of thinking don't tally. Patel remained opposed to this nuisance called Ambedkar all through. Even in the Constituent Assembly, the biggest challenge that Ambedkar received was from what is called the Hindu right. And Nehru remained away from it. He thought that I would not mess up with religion, but he got slaughtered when the Hindu marriage bill came. He had to show his hand then. Just after the Constitution, when the Hindu marriage bill came up and the Hindu code came up, then he said, I can't avoid this question of woman and Hindu and whether we need to send them into Parda or whether we need to get them married at 9 years. Now, at that time, Nehru had to come out. So, Nehru incidentally stayed out of the Patel-Ambedkar debate. But one good thing about Nehru, when Ambedkar lost out in the first election and was then sent from Bengal, again he resigned. This time Nehru brought him on a nominated ticket. As a Democrat, he said, I need that needling voice. I need that voice. So, you know, all characters are not perfect, but they have some angles where you respect and some angles where you feel like looking the other way. So there Nehru did a wonderful thing by bringing him on under the nominated category, under which the present government puts chaps with this big tilaks.
One interesting observation that Mr. Rajshekhar Undru has made is that the constitution that we have today owes a lot to Nehru because he said that decisions in the assembly should be unanimous. The tact of Rajendra Prasad, who ensured that if something was going on for this thing, he will adjourn it, and for Mr. Pant also. So these three people are specifically named, not Patel, even though Patel was the leading light on that. So probably the role of these people, they were not always on Nehru's side, particularly Mr. Rajendra Prasad was towards the right, but on this matter, I think they all work towards a common goal of getting a good, workable, practical constitution that safeguards the interests of the entire country.
Somebody told me there are two types of right. Intelligent right and stupid right. There are similarly two types of left, intelligent left and stupid left. So we had this period when you had intelligent right, like Rajendra Prasad, Rajagopalachari. Rajagopalachari could get so cranky, my God. And that too at 74. I'm 74. Maybe I'm cranky. So he was always up to cranked and emotionally upset about everything. He left the Congress. He quit the Congress and went off. He came in only after independence. You do know these stories. Rajagopalachari left the Congress long ago. He said, I don't talk to you, don't talk to me, don't talk to me like this. And For 6-7 years he was missing. In 47, Gandhiji said, "Hey Raja, inge vangavo." So he comes over and then becomes Governor General and all that stuff. So we had this side, the responsible right, as I call it, because I have studied the evolution of the right. We had the first rightist in that level would be Lala Lajpat Rai, who used religion for politics. Then Gokhale, followed by Malviya. Then would be coming people like
Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak.
Tilak, I have said. Bal Gangadhar Tilak, I have said in the beginning. Then comes Malviya, Madan Mohan Malviya. Then comes people like your Rajagopalachari. So they all were, but at the bottom line, were thorough gentlemen, complete patriots. The difference between this group and the Savarkar group is that Savarkar would ask for pardon from the Viceroy 5 times. These fellows would not bend their heads. They also believed in the right Hindu principles. There's a vast difference.
Sir, Ambedkar's worry was that the constitution, when it was written, promised this separate, or rather the reservation only for 10 years. He was worried that even 3 weeks prior to his death, he had, in an interview, said that, "I believe that will be taken away at 60 and the people will be left or forced to go back to where they were." His fears were largely unfounded. Even today we have that. Every 10 years or 20 years, the constitution gets amended to allow the reservations to continue. So on this thing, don't you think he miscalculated the vibrancy of the gentle public and the leaders of the country?
If you ask me, I had once studied constitutional history, and somewhere I read that the soul of a nation is held together with chewing gum and willpower. You know, you have to go on improvising, I'll give you, so you're talking of the First Amendment being extended every year. Okay? It's extended. No government will have the guts to say, we cut off reservations. No government will have the guts to say. We are asking governments to say, cut off the second time, third time benefits. Creamy layer. That's a different issue. Similarly, sitting in South India with all my heart with you, I only hope one more anomaly is kept after next year. And you know what that anomaly is?
Sir, please.
That anomaly is that in 1971, we realized that the North Indian states were populating faster. Okay. In 1971, Indira Gandhi decided to freeze the delimitation and say, no, we will not change the seats, we will not change the number of seats, let them increase their population, we will keep the number as the number is. So Kerala has 20 seats, I think. Okay, so she kept it. After that, it came up, it was for 25 years. So it came up during Atal Bihari Vajpayee's regime. 25 years was over, call over. Now we go in for representation as per population. North India had already produced almost double the population. And Atal Bihari from North India realized that when explosive situation, if he insisted on more seats for UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, and lesser seats for Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra and Bengal. That 25 years is over. So Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the Congress of the BJP, decided to push it back by another 25 years. It's expiring this year. Okay. Our great Prime Minister has already ordered electoral census. When the census results come out, we don't need to get into house to house. We know what the populations are. We are on a dwindling thing. We have only one child, and that child also doesn't want to marry. So, most cases, you know, we belong to a generation that was dreadfully afraid of our fathers, mother, and then became dreadfully afraid of our children. We are that middle generation, na? So, and they couldn't care less. Anyway, so while we are going in for that model, the extreme China model, North India has gone in for. So they, if you ask them, they can't tell you how many children they have now. Now that huge number, if it's reflected on parliament seats, it will be 65% versus the rest. Now in parliament, suddenly I was sitting in the circular building of Lutyens, which I think one of the finest architectures I've seen in my life. They were suddenly building up a Modi parliament. And banging going on for 2 years. You couldn't move our cars. The finally it was, nothing is done without a lot of ceremony. And then we were taken into the new parliament. And inside the Lok Sabha, we have 554 members. So we said, okay, maybe another 150. 888. The whole idea is to expand it to 800 or so, whereby the majority of people would be reflected in majority of seats. This is a frightening thought. Those states who have performed better in all social sector indexes, all economic indexes, would be finished off. So when you talk of reservation being 1 year and 2 year, I'm not bothered about this. This will continue. I'm bothered about that other one that will go to come up next year. Next year we are going to be on a boiling pot, I can assure you. And when you get the heat, remember Jawhar Sircar.
No, this issue was taken up by Tamil Nadu CM also very strongly.
No, we don't take up. The question is how much can we win against obdurate minds?
So I'll have one more question before we throw open to audience. So you find that in 1932, when he went for the Roundtable Conference, Ambedkar single-handedly espoused the cause of separate electorates and won it through a combination of outstanding advocacy, brilliant strategizing, and some extraordinary tactical moves. Now, also, another person who also attended that conference was Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Jinnah applied the same techniques with the British from 1940 onwards. Would you think that Jinnah learned this from Ambedkar and took a page from his book?
Jinnah went in for the cause, all right, but this was not the Jinnah period. You know what Jinnah did after 32?
He took a practice in UK.
He took a sabbatical. 4 years delay. Not seen. Jinnah is not seen for 4 years. So he lost his contact with the Muslim masses for 4 years, and then he finds a vacancy, so he applies, learning from reliable sources that there is a vacancy in the leadership of the Muslims. I hereby apply for the same. And he comes back. Jinnah's tactics was different. Ambedkar versus Gandhi in 1932 Roundtable Conference is an excellent example of how to do things your way. Gandhi hardly attended the house.
Yeah, he didn't.
Number one. Gandhi hardly attended the 1932 Roundtable Conference. He sent his members, they were sitting there. What was Gandhi doing? He was taking pictures with a toothless smile with workers in Manchester, with workers here, with the general people here. He was on a publicity drive, narrative drive. You remember? Gandhi found this a chance where the entire attention of Britain was focused on him. And when he met the king, the press asked, the king wore 4 layers of velvet. The fellow must have been sweating inside, but never mind. So they asked him that you went in this loincloth and this thing before a king who was appropriately dressed. He said, yes, but the king had dressed enough for both of us. So Gandhi was on those quirks. This was the making of Gandhi as an image, the solid Gandhi as an image. Because immediately after this, we'd go for that Dandi march. He would think out his games 2 steps ahead. Ambedkar knew that he had no ladies to take photographs with. Nobody would be knowing him also. He decided to stick there like a keen type lawyer, from morning till night, going around asking for notes, and making provisions at the appropriate subcommittee meeting and committee meetings that he won in the House, in the committee. So when he came up with a surprise win, Gandhi was flabbergasted. Flabbergasted. How did Ambedkar manage with nothing? Ambedkar managed with hard work. No publicity. But he knew that he became a darling of the masses with more statues than Mahatma Gandhi now, after 60 years. Otherwise, in the early stages of independence, what did we see? Every railway station has a station road and an MG chalk with a Mahatma Gandhi statue and a crow on top. That's a universal seal all over India. Now you have a parallel challenger in the statue of a suited booted Ambedkar. So history will fold out.
Incidentally, Ambedkar also lost the elections. Congress ensured that he lost the first general election.
Congress ensured that he lost.
He lost the general
lost the election.
Yeah. With that, sir, we'll take some questions from the audience.
Any questions?
Hello, sir. My name is Vaishnav. I would like to ask a question. Was there any real propaganda behind Gandhi's publicity stunts in particular?
Gandhi was, don't make any mistake about it. Gandhi was a Mahatma, this size Atma, I admit. Gandhi was also self-publicity. And so was Tagore. I have not seen a single picture of Rabindranath Tagore in a dress other than the standard dress. You understand? At least at night he must have worn a vesty or something. I don't know. Nobody has seen. So every time the camera approached, he was there. So camera, angle, narrative, what you say, everything matters for a leader. So Gandhi was, there have been huge volumes of work on Gandhiji's messaging, Gandhiji's publicity and all that. Louis Mountbatten, when he became Governor General of India, he asked for one extra post, and that was press secretary to the Lieutenant Governor. His only job was 15 people would maintain contact with the press to take angles of Mountbatten and his wife, and Mountbatten would be in that insufferable white, sweating inside, but not take off that naval suit. You remember, in the naval dress, all publicity.
We should also not forget that Gandhi's actions and even the salt had an electrifying effect across the country because he could relate to the common man in a way no other leader could do. So that is something which we should not forget in this. Any other questions, sir?
In your interaction, you said that the present government is splitting various states in order to gain majority, especially in the northern belt. If they get majority, then they will not care for the rest of the country states. Means 888, the number that will be sufficient for them. If it comes into implementation, you said it will come into within the next year. What will be the results of this particular strategy of the present government? Splitting the states, increasing their number of MPs, and then without caring for other states, they will...
That is their game plan. That is their game plan, that since they have produced more numbers of people, their seats will go up consequently. Kerala is supposed to go down from 20 to 12. 12 seats, all of you. And UP will go up from 80 to 130 or 32 or something, if you go by proportional thing. Now, I personally think that if the non-northern states band up and take it to a limit, they will not be able to repeat it. They will have to do what Indira Gandhi did and what Atal Bihari did and freeze it. The freezing is the only solution. You cannot have it. If they say, oh, your constituency is only 5 lakhs and my constituency is 15 lakhs, so we'll say that, did I ask you to make it 50 lakhs? So we have to put our foot down. I'm afraid about these things that I see after the census. Number one, the population of India will be divided onto 4 to 5 categories, and the largest section will be on the what we call reservable category. 70, 75 will be reservable category. So the judges and the constitution say you can't cross 50. So we'll have to take a solution on that. Number two, we all know how much they have produced. So we all know what is the population. So we all know that we are going to be reduced from our present 45% to something like 35%, 32%. And they are going to expand from 52% to 65-7%. And then they'll have 2 lackey states, Gujarat and another. So you have it. So these are the things we need to worry, because when you talk of reservations, our focus should be what happened in the past and the struggle that happened in the past, but also the present and the future. The way that SIR is going on, SIR, the way that EVMs are being challenged, these need to be thought of very seriously. Any other questions?
You mentioned about the constitution, formation of our constitution, the concept of constitution about Ambedkar and Gandhiji. Before our constitution, written constitution came into existence in 1950, January 26, prior to 4 years back, one book called Gandhian Constitution Free India, written by Narayan Agarwal, his important disciple, The preface was written by Gandhiji. In that book, he vividly explained what sort of constitution we require. It's called the Swadeshi Constitution. In the Swadeshi Constitution, the basic element is Grama Sabha and Gramam. And the people of that Grama Sabha, if you go for an electoral process, they will not go for any corruption. According to Gandhi, if electoral what you call the election by political parties, corruption is always there. Not only in India, it's globally, it is identified. So he emphasized the rural people and the Grama Sabha people for electing that come to the ladder, Grama, Jilla, then to national level. But unfortunately, Ambedkar never agreed with this one. Gandhiji specifically mentioned, instead of going for cutting and pasting of different constitutional preambles of other countries, we have our own constitutional laboratory. India is called as a laboratory of constitution. And Ambedkar never agreed. Even then, Gandhiji appointed Ambedkar as the chairman of the drafting committee. So, what paradox between these two aspects? One. Number two, you said about the publicity of Gandhiji. But I am totally disagree with that one. His dress is, it's a dhoti and khadi from cotton. It is a self-reliance of the people and giving more emphasis to the value of work, especially the rural people. So it is not a question of publicity.
You see, Gandhi, Nehru and the lot had to be very careful in 1946. In 1946, the RSS came out with an open opposition to the constitution. In the organizer issues of June, July and August 1946-47, they, in the bunch of thoughts, Golwarkar wrote, "We do not accept this English constitution. We want the constitution of Hindustan. Why not Manusmriti? It's part of the complete thing that Manusmriti is Indian." I don't know, because at that point of time Manu did require an Aadhaar card, but must have been Indian. No, SIR fellow could do anything to him, but we assume he was Indian. Now, the amount of positive things there are in Manusmriti, I have read. A lot of positive things. The amount of negative things against women, against all castes, against everything, it will be horrendous even to think of it. So Gandhi and Nehru decided, let this fellow go on with his constitutional games. We were outwitted by him in 32. Let him play his constitutional games and let us all get through. That was one thing. And about Gandhi's publicity, much of it is just, Gandhi ensured, did you ever play crackers when you were young? Little crackers. My father gave us only small little red crackers. Well, the boys next door had these bombs. So what we did was put 2 crackers into a tin, dalda tin. So the amplifying effect was bigger than them. Gandhi went in for the amplification effect. Because we didn't have SMS or WhatsApp at that time. Nah? Another leader has the benefit of WhatsApp University. You can put any garbage there and everybody will read. Gandhi had to go in for messaging. And the first inventor of SMS was King Ashok. Nah? He put SMS on rock edicts all over India. Short messages.
Gandhi became a mass leader because he could communicate so well. And this was one of the methods of communication, was to have a good narrative. Without a narrative, how can you communicate? He was a master at that.
Absolutely.